For decades, walking into an IKEA store felt like stepping into a perfectly engineered machine. Arrows on the floor guided millions of customers through maze-like showrooms. Flat-packed boxes stacked with military precision promised affordable design for the masses. Meatballs waited at the end like a reward for endurance. It looked flawless, efficient, almost unbeatable. But here is where it gets interesting. Behind the cheerful blue and yellow signs, cracks began to form. Not cracks you could see at first glance. Not broken shelves or empty parking lots. These were deeper cracks in logistics, sustainability, culture, and even the very business model that made IKEA one of the most successful retailers in history. By the late 2010s, IKEA was generating tens of billions in annual revenue, operating hundreds of stores across dozens of countries, and serving nearly 1 billion customers every year. Yet growth was slowing in key markets. Younger shoppers were buying less furniture. Supply chains that once felt bulletproof were suddenly fragile, and the company built on simplicity was becoming increasingly complex. This is the story of how IKEA's legendary system began to strain under its own weight, and more importantly, how the company is now trying to fix it. IKEA's rise is one of the most studied stories in modern business. Founded in 1943 by Ingvar Kamprad in rural Sweden, the company was built on a simple idea. Well-designed furniture should be affordable for ordinary people. The innovation was not just in design but in the system. Flat-pack furniture reduced shipping costs. Customers assembled products themselves, cutting labor expenses. Stores were placed outside city centers where land was cheap. Every decision reinforced the same flywheel. Lower costs led to lower prices. Lower prices drove higher volume. Higher volume enabled even lower costs. By the early 2000s, IKEA was no longer just a furniture retailer. It was a global cultural force. College students furnished first apartments with IKEA basics. Families trusted it for kitchens and wardrobes. Designers admired how it balanced cost and aesthetics. The system scaled brilliantly, or at least it seemed to. At its peak, IKEA's model looked unshakable. The company expanded aggressively into Asia and emerging markets. Its catalogue became one of the most printed publications in the world. Stores grew larger, offering childcare, restaurants, and day-long experiences. Financially, everything appeared strong. Revenues climbed year after year. Brand recognition reached near universal levels in many countries. Internally, IKEA believed its system could withstand almost anything. But now you might be thinking, if everything was working so well, where did the cracks come from? The answer lies in success itself. As IKEA grew, its operations became increasingly complex. More suppliers, more product lines, more regulations, more expectations from customers who no longer compared IKEA only to furniture stores, but to fast-moving digital retailers. The system that once thrived on standardization was entering a world that demanded flexibility. But then the first major strain appeared in supply chains. IKEA relies on thousands of suppliers across the globe. For years, this network delivered reliability and cost efficiency, but global disruptions exposed its fragility. Factory shutdowns, shipping delays, and raw material shortages made it harder to keep shelves stocked. Customers accustomed to instant availability suddenly faced long waits for basic items. At the same time, sustainability pressures intensified. IKEA had long promoted its commitment to the environment, pledging to use renewable materials and reduce emissions. Yet critics pointed out a contradiction. How could a company built on mass consumption truly be sustainable? Then came the digital challenge. Younger consumers were moving online. They expected fast delivery, easy returns, and seamless digital experiences. IKEA's giant stores, once an advantage, now felt inconvenient to some shoppers. Navigating a maze for a single lamp was no longer charming. It was frustrating. Internally, decision-making slowed. Layers of management made it harder to adapt quickly. What once felt like disciplined structure began to feel like bureaucracy. There is more to this story. Before we continue, please subscribe to our channel. We want to hit 1,000 subscribers before New Year. Thank you. Let's go on with the video. Rather than deny the cracks, IKEA made a critical decision. It chose to confront them head-on. One of the biggest shifts was in how IKEA thought about growth. Instead of endlessly building massive stores, the company began experimenting with smaller urban formats. These locations focused on inspiration and planning rather than inventory, allowing IKEA to be closer to customers living in dense cities. Digital transformation became a top priority. IKEA invested heavily in its online platforms, improving search, visualization tools, and checkout experiences. Augmented reality apps allowed customers to see furniture in their homes before buying. Click-and-collect services blended physical and digital retail. Supply chains were redesigned for resilience, not just efficiency. IKEA diversified suppliers, increased buffer inventories for key products, and invested in better demand forecasting. The goal was no longer just the lowest cost, but reliability in uncertain times. Sustainability moved from marketing message to an operational mandate. IKEA committed to becoming climate positive within a few decades. It began designing products with circularity in mind, making them easier to repair, reuse, and recycle. Buyback programs encouraged customers to return old furniture instead of throwing it away. Perhaps the most profound change happened culturally. Leadership acknowledged that the old system, while powerful, could not remain static. Teams were encouraged to experiment. Failure became more acceptable if it led to learning. These changes were not painless. Some initiatives failed. Others took longer than expected to show results. Revenue growth did not instantly return to previous highs, but gradually, signs of progress emerged. Online sales grew significantly, becoming a larger share of total revenue. Customer satisfaction improved in markets where urban stores reduced friction. Sustainability efforts strengthened IKEA's reputation among younger consumers who cared deeply about environmental impact. The system was no longer as simple as it once was, but it was becoming more adaptable. So what does IKEA's story ultimately teach us? The cracks in IKEA's system were not caused by incompetence or neglect. They were the natural result of a model designed for one era colliding with the realities of another. Globalization, digital expectations, and environmental responsibility reshaped the rules of retail. The real test was not whether IKEA could avoid cracks, but whether it could respond to them. By rethinking store formats, embracing digital tools, strengthening supply chains, and redefining sustainability, IKEA showed that even the most iconic systems must evolve. The company did not abandon its core philosophy of affordable design for many people. Instead, it reinterpreted it for a changing world. Today, walking into an IKEA store still feels familiar. The blue and yellow colours remain. The flat packs are still there. The meatballs still wait at the end. But beneath the surface, the system is different, more flexible, more resilient, more aware of its limits. In a business landscape filled with fallen giants who refuse to change, IKEA's willingness to confront its own cracks may be its greatest strength. Because in the end, the companies that survive are not the ones without flaws. They are the ones that see the cracks early enough to fix them before the whole structure collapses. If you liked this video, Please subscribe to our channel